Hello, and welcome back to Restorative Talks with Why Me. I'm your host, Isabelle Gius. In Series 2, we're exploring how restorative justice transforms lives by hearing directly from people who have gone through the process. Join us to hear the inspiring stories of our lived experience ambassadors, Andy, Sheldon, and Will. We discuss some sensitive topics in this podcast, including crime and violence, suicide, and drug and alcohol misuse, so take care while listening. In this episode, I'm joined in the studio by Andy O'Dell. Andy and I have an emotional conversation about losing his son, the power of forgiveness, and the ripple effect of crime on families and communities. Despite the things he has gone through, Andy's enthusiasm to create change is infectious. Thank you, Andy, for being here today.
You're welcome. Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you mind introducing yourself?
I'm Andy O'Dell from Manchester and just been made an ambassador for Why Me.
Yes, yeah. Andy's a new ambassador for us. We're very happy to have you on board.
Thank you.
So I'll try to go kind of chronologically through your story, but the first question I just had was if you could tell us a little bit about what your life was like prior to the crime.
Yeah, we had a good life. I was with my new partner then, now he's my wife. Joe used to come to visit us every other weekend, and yeah, it was good. It was a good life.
Mm-hmm.
Hard with Joe when he come because he had how can we put it? He was autistic, so he had lots of different routines that he liked, and you had to sort of follow the lead with Joe. But it was a good life.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And can you tell us a little bit about Joe?
He was very mischievous. He liked to tell jokes. He liked to prank. He loved pugs. Pugs was his life.
Mm.
Yeah, he wanted to walk pugs, and yeah, well, that's what his ambition, to be a dog walker, to walk the pugs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and he loved Doctor Who and the Avengers, the Hulk, Iron Man. Yeah, that was his life.
Mm.
Yeah. He was good. He had another brother and two sisters who they fought like mad but loved each other to death.
Mm-hmm.
He was a good cheeky chappy.
And however much you're comfortable sharing, can you tell us a little bit about what happened from your perspective?
Oh, yeah. The day of the accident, I had a phone call from Joe's mum saying Joe had not arrived at school. School had been in touch. They couldn't get hold of him. If they heard anything, she'd phoned me, and I'd said, he's probably nothing to worry about. Probably been the coach had brought the minibus because he travelled a long way from obviously Bury to Ormskirk every day, and it was his first day back. And I said, probably something's happened, stuck in traffic, bad phones. He said, nothing to worry about. And then she phoned back again about half an hour later saying she's still not heard anything. They couldn't find out any information, and she was going to go to the hospitals because she thought there was something up. And I was like, no, we just have to wait. So everything will be fine. And a little bit later on, we heard there'd been an accident. Still not sure who was involved, if it was with Joe or not. But yeah, and then I was going to see my mum, and I got a phone call, and I had to stop and take the call, and it was from a man called Mark, and he said he needed to speak to us, but he couldn't speak over the phone. And then asked, could he come and see us? So I said, yeah, fine. I didn't know what it was entirely. It's just that he was a policeman, and he needed to come and see me. There was nothing else. So I had about, me and my wife, I phoned at the time, we worked at the same company, I phoned her, went and picked her up, and we went home and waited. And we waited till about 4:15 when Mark turned up, who eventually became my FLO, my family liaison officer. He knocked on the door, and I opened the door, and as soon as I opened the door and seen his face, I knew Joe was dead. He came in and he said there'd been an accident, and a truck had gone into the back of Joe's minibus. Joe sat at the back, always did. That was his seat. They all had, there was 4 other children on, and the escort lady and the driver, they all had their own seats. Joe was sat on the back seat. He took the full impact. At that point, at that time, it was all about, with me, obviously Joe died, it was devastation, but I was hoping that the bloke was all right, you know, because we don't know what the circumstances was. And I felt bad for him, you know, at that point. And I always said to Mark that, you know, if this was a lapse of concentration, we've all done it whilst driving. I don't care who you are. I can take that. Yes, he's killed my son, but I can take that. It happens. But my big one was, if he was on his mobile phone or doing anything with his phone, I'll never forgive him. You know, that's the big thing.
And what was your experience like of the court process and going through the justice system?
So down the line at first, Mark spoke to me about the restorative justice. If I wanted to look at down the line meeting the man who was driving the truck, and at that point, even though we still wasn't sure what had gone on, I wasn't ready for it, and it was like, I know, you know, I don't want to meet him. It was a long process before going to court, and when we first went, there was still no plea put in. There was no nothing. What was going to happen, and then right at the last minute, he pleaded guilty. The trial setting date actually then went to court for sentencing processes. So we all had to write out impact statements. I had to write one. His mum, family did, and everything. And then we did that, and then we had to wait for it to go to, I can't remember the court dates.
That's okay.
My experience in the court was not good then. Very disappointed. I was disappointed with the judge, the way he handled it. He didn't really read out any, you know, he had lots of people writing, and he decided not to read out any of the impact statements by myself. Mine got read, or I read mine out, I think. His mum read hers, and the other people whose family and the other children, they read theirs out. And then the others, he never really, he sort of skipped through a little bits of them. But yeah, it wasn't a good experience. And then it came to the sentencing. It all happened in the same day. So the law, he said then, was that he got 14 years, and because he'd pleaded guilty right at the last minute, which I thought was unfair, he got that sentence reduced to 8 years. This is what the judge was saying, and he'd done a year and a little bit before that happened, so that was all took in as well. And then the judge told him if he was a good boy, because this was his words, if you're a good boy, you'll be out in 4 years. Which, true to form, he was. He came out in July, dead on 4 years. He never got to talk. He didn't get to say anything. He showed no remorse where he was from, and when I looked at him, he didn't show anything. It was it was a really hard, tough experience. It took me to the depths of despair. I think it changed me as a person. Not in a bad way, but I was just like existing. I was grumpy to everybody, I think, even to my wife and the children, her children, our children. Yeah, it wasn't. It changed me to a bad person. And then as time went on, my FLO, Matt, who was a rock to me and Shell, he was always there at the end of the phone to speak to him. He was like my Superman. He was amazing. He came back to me, and we then talked again about the restorative justice system. I felt then that I needed to see him because I had lots of questions to ask. Because he never, like I say, he never spoke. He wasn't, as I come to find out, he wasn't allowed to speak in court. He had a letter that the judge wouldn't allow to be read out, which I felt was unfair. So yeah, I agreed to it, and Mark then put the ball in motion, But me and Shell went to meet Helena, and we met Phil. It was a long process of talking about my feelings, which direction we wanted to go in, just to make sure that when I went in to meet him, I was in the right frame of mind and wasn't going to explode and do anything silly. We had quite a lot of meetings. It went on for a long time. And I think it took me a long time going and to understand and realise that I was angry and they was doing the right things by holding back. And I think it come to a point, we was just about to go and meet him and COVID started. So then that was another blow really of what was going on. Anyway, we carried on the chats and they explained the process. They was going to see the guy himself as well, because they had to make sure he was in the right frame of mind and that he wasn't just going to go there and sit and not say anything. It was all, like I say, when we went doing our chats, it was always me, Michelle, and Mark always came. I always had Mark involved as well. And we just talked about different aspects of the questions I wanted to ask him, or why you did it. And it was like, why you did it? Why was you on your phone? You know, why didn't you speak in court? Why didn't you, these are the answers I needed and was looking for. So, yeah, I think I had about 7 or 8 questions that I wanted to ask him to get clarity on. And then I was asked, could his wife be present? And it was like, oh yeah, definitely, he needs his support. We went in quite open-minded, hoping that I'd get the answers. I was asked, would you like to shake his hands and would you like to do it? And it was like, no, I don't want no contact. I just want to sit in front of him and ask him questions. It was like his wife was sitting out of the circle, was going to sit, and it was like, no, I want her in. She's part of him. She's in with it. So round the circle there was Helena and Phil, the restorative team. There was me, Shell. There was, I think, the governor, the governor for the prison. Then there was the lads. Oh God, there's a word for it, but like his key worker while he was in prison, his caseworker, him and his wife. And we just sat in a big circle in the chaplain, and we started off asking these questions that why was you on your phone? Why did you do it? And he gave his answers, and he was very remorseful of what he'd done. He talked about the impact it had on his family, which it wasn't their fault. Even though I'd lost Joe, they'd been put through the grind because of his stupidity of what he did. His daughter was bullied and was named, and it was quite horrendous. Sat listening to his wife speak about it. All he'd ever done was drove. He didn't know anything different. But while he'd been in prison, he was trying to better himself. He was learning new skills. He was advocating and talking to other prisoners who had gone in, who had been there for, using the mobile phones while driving. He was talking and telling them what happened. If this is what could happen, this is what happened to me. I did what you did. I wasn't lucky. You've been lucky it didn't happen to you, but it could be you next time. And that was good to hear. I think we was in there a good couple of hours, and I got the answers from the questions I needed from him. I know I can't. I've always been told I can't really say a lot what happened in there. I wasn't allowed, but I got the answers. And when we was going, I stood up and we shook hands. I shook his hands. They said, "Thank you for being honest." And yeah, we walked away. And then a couple of days later, I think the way it made me feel was like, yeah, what he's done is a bad thing. And yes, he might have done it before, driving the phone, and he's got in, and this time he's got caught. But he'd shown his remorse, and I wanted to go back and visit him again because I wanted to tell him I forgive him for what he'd done. So I phoned Phil, the restorative justice bloke, and I always remember him talking to me, said to me when he seen it was me phoning him, he's like, "Oh God, no, what's going on?" What's happened? Because he said that, everything seemed that day went fine. And I just said, I want to set up another meeting with the gentleman. And he asked, oh, right, why? Because you got everything. And I said, I want to go back and I want to speak to him again and tell him that I forgive him for what he'd done, for killing my son in the way he did it. And we went back. Yeah, so, yeah.
What did it mean to you to forgive him?
I think getting the answers, as my wife says, not straight away, not overnight, but it took me back to how I was. She got her husband back. I got myself back. I became me again. The anger, the way I was, it changed. Like I say, it made me the person I was, back to the person I was. I wasn't as angry. I wasn't moody. I was back to my daft, silly self. Yeah. Took a little bit of time. It didn't just happen overnight, but yeah, it's what I needed, and it really helped me become back to who I was. Not as I still have my anxieties about things. It has changed me in them ways. Like coming here, these things, it has had a big impact on my life, how I am. But I'm not as angry as I was.
Mm-hmm.
I'm now more me again. Like I say, happy, carrying on with my life, getting out, doing what we love, walking, camping, which then I didn't want to do. I couldn't be bothered with it. I just existed. But this had given me my life back. Yeah, it will never bring Joe back. And him, him coming out, he gets to carry on his life. And yes, I am angry, and I have forgiven him, but he still killed my son. And he gets that opportunity to carry on with his family, his daughter. And that's hard, but we have to carry on. And this is why I'm doing it, to try and carry on Joe's name. And hopefully, if it helps to stop one more accident happening, I've achieved a little bit. But I'm a happy man again. I have my life back.
And because of that meeting.
Yeah, all because of that meeting. And maybe if we'd have got the answers in court, if the judge would have allowed that to happen then, I might not have gone even further. I mean, I was angry, obviously Joe died, but I think the court and what happened in court sent me even more down that slippery road. And if he would have allowed these things to happen, it might not have happened. I don't know. But the judge wouldn't let anything talk or anything. Yeah, it was a bad day in court. And then again, like I say, when I wanted to challenge things, I was told I couldn't because the judge was untouchable. And it was not fair how he spoke, not only just for me, but all the other families while we was all there, what he said and how he was, yeah. He didn't help.
And can you talk a little bit more about how that second meeting went with him?
Yeah,
after?
he didn't know, obviously. I didn't want him to know what I was going back for. And then I just said, right, so I just wanted to tell you that, that I forgive you for what you did. You killed my son and, he will never come back, but I forgive you for what you've done. And he said, thank you. He shot and he was upset. He didn't cry or anything, but you could see in his appearance, he was sad, but I felt better for it. Yeah, it was like this big weight was lifted. Say to anybody, if you get the opportunity and you feel you can do it, because you'll get the answers, because it's all planned. You just don't go in there off the cuff. Everything's planned with the restorative justice people. You get to talk about it, and that helps as well with yourself, talking about what happened, and talking about what you need to get out of it, the questions you need. And they won't let it go ahead if they don't think the other person is up for it. It has to go both ways. So it is a good, if you get that opportunity and you need answers, do it.
You already mentioned this a little bit, but can you explain more about kind of how you were feeling before the meeting and how you felt after, you know?
Oh, so nervous, so apprehensive, scared. Even to the fact, even as we was walking down, it was like we was in an open prison and we was walking through, and I'm like, I don't know if I can do this. Even to the point when we were sat in the room, I was like, I don't know if I can do this. But Shelby in there, she always reassured me. She was my rock, and yeah, we did it, and I did it. It'll be different for everyone, I suppose, how it goes ahead. It was scary. It was scary going into, even though it was an open prison, it was scary. And what would it be like, you know, and where you'd meet, what was that? And we met, it was in like the chaplain that they have there. And it was an insight to see how they lived and what privileges and what they didn't get, because it's made out that you think they must get everything in it. It's not like that. To find out that they have to work and they have to pay their way while they're in there. They don't just get given things. They have to earn everything, even the rights to get out and work. And if they earned money while they was out, then they had to pay their way in the prison. They had to buy stuff they wanted. They had to earn the privileges of going home. It was good learning all them, not that they just got that opportunity to go home. They had to earn that right.
And after the meeting, what did you feel that you took away or learned?
I walked away feeling sad that I'd never see Joe again. But I was happy that, again, like I said, I got the answers I needed, and that I had forgiven him. And I think I needed that to move on. That's what I needed to get. I needed to get them answers to enable me to move on. And forgiving him, I think, I know he's killed Joe, and I'll never forgive him for that, in that sense, if you know what I mean. But I forgive him for how it happened and how, we all make mistakes at the end of the day. His was a big one. He shouldn't have done it, but he did. And he's learned from that. And he expressed that while in our meeting, while we were chatting, that he'd learned from what he'd done in his mistakes.
And at what point in the court process did you learn that he had been on his phone?
Wow. It was a long process down the line. One of the big things I'd always said was, from the day I met Mark, was how he was. I always, whenever Mark came to visit me with an update, or if he phoned with an update or whatever, I always asked how he was. How was the driver? How was his mental state? Because we never knew. It was quite a way down the line before we found out. I remember Mark, one day we got the call and he said, "I'm coming down to see you." "Oh, all right, no problems." And it was always like, not a big thing, but you knew there was something coming from it when he came. And he came in and he broke the news that he'd been on his phone. And he went through the process of what they'd done to find this out. And this is why they couldn't, it took all this time, because he'd been on 4 or 5 different apps while he was driving, and they'd had to do something they'd never done before. And that was, they'd had to clone his phone to the same phone, but a new version of the phone, to get the information. How, I don't know, but yeah, and that's when they found out he'd been texting. The only legal thing he'd done was made a hands-free, which I still don't agree, but we are, that bit is allowed, a hands-free phone call to his mum. But everything else he was doing on the phone was illegal. He was playing a game, and he was driving a 19-ton truck, and he was playing a game. He was watching Sky Sports News and texting about booking a holiday and that. Yeah, and he joined them all, and he'd done this from leaving the courtyard or where he works with the truck was fully laden, and he joined the motorway, and he was still at it. When there was 2 signs to say there was roadworks and there could be traffic coming off at Junction 3, and he'd not even seeing it till the last minute. And when he did see it, it was too late, and he put his brakes. He braked, but he hit the back of the van, and Joe took the full impact, and the escort lady did too. Then she died, and then not only that, the impact on the children, the driver, and then there was 7 other cars that were involved in it. That was in front. It had a knock-on effect with all them. It was a really, really, it had an impact on a lot of people. Yeah, it was a devastating day. That when he came and told us.
And you mentioned Mark, your family liaison officer, a couple of times. What role did he play for you, and also in offering restorative justice?
Well, obviously, for Shell, my wife, who was my rock through it all, even though I was a pain, and like she said, she got me back my old self back. Mark and Shell was the people who brought me back from the depths of despair. If it wasn't for them too, I don't know what I'd have done, because I was at the bottom with it. I wasn't in a good place. But them two, he always says no, but he was my superhero, just like Joe and Shell. They both were. If it wasn't for them, I have, my family rallied around. I lost my mum through it eventually, because she couldn't. I mean, my mum was old anyway, but she couldn't deal with it, and she passed. She never got over Joe dying, and she passed. But if it wasn't for Shell and Mark, I don't know where I've been. They always had, even if I looked down at it, they always had a positive spin on things. And we still talk now. Not as much now. I used to always be pecking his head, and he was always there for me for whatever reason, good or bad. And we talk now and again now. We still sort of keep in touch. But he was an amazing man. He'll probably tell me off for saying that, but he was. Just like Shell. She was an amazing woman. I don't think I could have ever got through it without them two. Even today, it's, every day, it's hard. You just have to find ways to deal with it. I go and see Joe. I don't see him a lot, but I go and see him when I need to. I have my memories. And we have our little shelf that Shell made for me with his pictures on and different things. So, he is a huge loss. He was such a character. But without, like I say, without these people by my side, I don't know where I'd have been or what would have done. I don't know.
You mentioned earlier that that you had been offered restorative justice and initially didn't feel like you were ready to take part, and then Mark made the offer again. Can you tell us a bit more about that and what changed?
When I was first offered the restorative justice, I was too angry. I wasn't ready for it. It was a long process of finding out how the accident happened. The police did an amazing job without what they had to do. Like I say, with the phone, they'd had to send the minibus's brake lights to, I think it was to Japan, to have them tested, because they had to find out if the minibus was moving or was it stationary. There was so much stuff that they had to work on to do before to get to the end result. So it took a long time before before I found out. And then, so at that point I wasn't ready, and I turned it down straight away to do it, because I still didn't know what was going on. And I wasn't ready at that point. It was very early into the accident. It might have only been a couple of months when I got asked it. But I wasn't ready for it. So it was Mark who said, "Don't worry, we'll revisit it when I think you're ready." And that's what happened. When Mark thought I was ready for it, he then broached it again. And that's when I said, that's when I was ready.
You also kind of addressed this a little bit, but how do you feel about the process looking back, the meetings? I mean,
with the restorative,
yeah,
it was really good. It helped, even just speaking to it. It helped me understand how Shell felt, what she was going through. Shell was going through. She was supporting me, but she was going through her own turmoil with it herself, and I never seen that, and that hurt me. That because I was very blinkered, and it was just tunnel vision, and I put her through hell. But luckily, she's still here with me. But I did, and it made me realise there, because we was asked questions. We was about my mental health. We was always talked to in a very professional way. They was always judging what my mental state was like, and it like you say, it was. I think we had we might have had about a dozen meetings before they went, right, you ready? We can go and see him now. They don't take it lightly. It's not yet. Let's go and see him. There's a process, and they did the same process they went through for me. They went through with him to make sure his mental state was right. He was not going there just for a day out sort of thing. That he would talk. He would answer these questions. He was sort of given the questions beforehand, so he knew what was going. So he sort of knew what was going on. It wasn't like every week, but it was every couple of weeks. We always met with Phil and Helena, unless one of them had something else to do. And we always went through how my mental state was, what I was up to, where I was in life, sort of thing. And we'd always go through the questions, the same questions all the time. Are they still the right questions? Is there anything else you want to add or you want to take away? And, and that was the process every time. And it was just all about my mental health being. And that's the most important thing with restorative justice, is there to get your answers for why.
Is that the most important thing that it gave you?
Yeah. Yeah. Why? Why did you do it? Yeah.
And do you think the process could help other people? What advice would you give to someone in your position?
If you're in that right state of mind mentally, because you have to be, then it can help you, because if there's answers there, why did you do it? I know it's a bit of a cliche saying this, but you're why me, and that is definitely why me. Their answers are there to answer that. Why me? Why did you pick on me? Or why did you do it to me or my family or my children? Why? If you're in, and the people who you speak to are professionals, done it a long time, they're restorative, they know what they're talking about, and they'll know when you're ready to do it. They won't rush you. They'll take your time. Do it. Really, it will help you. You'll get your answers, as long as that other person is willing to do it too, because they've got to be in that same frame of mind, and you will get your answers. I got my answers, and all I can say is if you want to do it, do it. Don't let anybody put you off, but listen to the restorative justice people, because they know what they're doing, and they'll help you with questions. Even if you're not sure how to ask them, they'll write it down in a way for you, a better way for you, if that's what you need. For me, it was the best thing ever, and a better person again, much happier, living life, enjoying it, and I miss my boy every day, but I'm getting on with my life, and a lot of that is through the restorative justice and getting to speak to him and getting the answers I needed that he wasn't allowed to give in court.
Yeah, I know you may not be able to share too many details about the meeting, but do you think he also took something away from the process?
Yes, definitely. Yeah, he did. Yeah, very much. He took a lot. I don't know the word to use, sorry, but yeah, he did. The best there is, I can't think of the word, but he took a lot from it. He showed empathy. He showed that he was sorry, where in court he hadn't. He just sat there. No emotions, no nothing. In there, he showed emotions, And that helped. And I think that was another reason as well that I went, he was sorry. And that's why I forgived him as well, because he's shown a different side of himself that I wasn't expecting.
Like you saw him as a human being.
Yeah, I did. And you know what? He was on his phone. Like I say, he was watching Sky Sports News on your phone, playing the game while you're driving that. It's a big, big mistake. A big mistake. But we all make mistakes. His was catastrophic. Our mistakes are not. It just happened to be him. And that's why I forgive him. And I think by forgiving him has enabled me. And it wasn't like, oh God, I'm going to forgive him. It wasn't, just didn't come natural. It was a few days of thinking about it and talking to Shell and different people to go, yeah, this is what I need. And it did. It was the best thing it did. And it's enabled me to move on. Yeah.
That you forgiving him also gave you something.
Yeah,
as well.
Very much, yeah. And hopefully helps him. I hope it's helped him. And I hope it helps him to move on. Because as much as I'll never see Joe again, he's still got to live with this for the rest of his life, what he's done. It's going to affect him. So hopefully me forgiving him might help him a little bit as much as it's helped me. Yeah.
Those are all my questions. Is there anything else that we didn't talk about that you want to say?
It's just don't use your phones. Don't text or even using a hands-free phone. And if you can help it, don't do it. Don't watch things. Don't, try not to. If you're going to use it, your phone as your sat-nav, pre-plan stuff in. Stop to do the next part of your journey, whatever. Just don't use it, because one day it might be you coming home to your son, your daughter, your wife being killed by somebody using the phone. You might laugh now, oh, it's not going to happen to me, but it could. Or it could be you killing somebody's son, daughter, mother. It's there just by taking your eyes off the phone. Don't do it. Don't use your phones. Listen, it's a heartbreak. There's more important things in life than using your phones whilst you're driving. This helps that, then I've achieved a little bit for Joe.
Yeah, I think that's a really powerful message to end on. And also thinking about how one crime has such big effects on such big ripple effects, right? It's the whole, on families, on whole communities.
Yeah, it affected so many people, and I hope it helps you, because it's a very important. The restorative justice is an amazing process, and if you in that frame of mind, anybody out there who needs it, and you're in the right frame of mind, as you've gone through whatever it is you've gone through, and you're in that mindset, do it, because it will help you. Promise. It really will.
Since his restorative justice meeting, Andy has been a passionate advocate against distracted driving alongside his wife, Shell. They are actively looking for projects to help spread awareness of restorative justice and safer driving in the Northwest. As you heard, Andy's story has a clear message. Don't use your phone while driving. It's not worth it. Thank you to Andy for sharing your story, and thank you for listening to Restorative Talks with Why Me. In the next episode, I will be joined by Sheldon Lazarus, who was threatened with a knife in an attempted robbery. Just over a year later, he met the young person responsible in an online restorative justice meeting. Tune in to episode 2 of Restorative Talks to hear more. If you want to find out more about restorative justice, or if you would like to donate to help us support people affected by crime, visit our website, which is linked in the description. You can also support us by rating, downloading, and sharing this podcast, which really helps us as an organization. Join the conversation by following us on social media. You can find us on Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram at WhyMeUK. If you or someone you know has been affected by crime and is interested in accessing restorative justice, we would love to hear from you. You can get in touch by emailing info@y-me.org. Full details in the description. Thanks for listening.